dear Emily for being here. And thank you everybody for being here as well in person as those online. Hope you can hear and see us okay. My name is Joel. I'm really glad to be here with you guys for our second of the year town hall. We had one earlier in July, and we're hoping to have them quarterly here. So 3 months later, we're in October. We were planning this one, and people were saying, I thought we were having them every 3 months. And I said, it's been 3 months. And they're like, oh, and then time flies. So anyways, I'm really glad that you guys are here. The flow of the evening is going to be that we started with Kirtan. We're going to have a short inspirational talk from our very own Bhakti Devi. She reluctantly confirmed to be speaking, which means I pushed her. And, but we thought as she's honored, as you'll learn, part of our community care team, long-time community member, long-time community builder before she even came to New York, and a wealth of wisdom. And so we're really going to hear from her just briefly and shortly to kind of kick us off and set the mood. And then we're going to have around an hour of myself and some other team members sharing some important updates for you in our community, things that we want you to know about, to have on your radar. This is intended to be an interactive event, so if there's questions, either in person or if you're tuning in online on YouTube, we should have a chat activated, and we have, behind the iPad, you can't see, our very own Gujumar Pran is managing that, so as chats come in, I hope he's able to view those, and if important questions come up, you can participate as well. We're also going to have a few moments throughout the evening here where we're going to pause from us speaking and have you guys engage with each other a little bit. So we're going to ask a couple questions just for you guys to interact with each other. If you're at home with another person or friends or family or partner, you guys can participate together. If you're viewing by yourself, we ask you to get a pen and a paper. Have that with you, because we're going to have just a couple minutes at a few intervals where we're going to ask a question, just something for you to reflect about, related to what we're discussing this evening. And then if you'd like, if you're tuning in online, you can write it in the chat and we can hear from you as well. But one of the feedbacks that we got that we share is that this is meant to not just be us speaking at you, but us kind of coming together as a Sangha community. And then after we kind of present, we've got our presentation here, and answer any questions that you guys have. We'll have a little bit closing kirtan, and then we have some Kadasi Prasad prepared for you that we served out in the back. And that'll be a wrap. And so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and invite Her Grace Radha Bhakti Devi. Let's please give her a warm round of applause. And she's got her book Yamuna Devi, which has me excited already. And would you like to sit or stand? You can sit. Just set up here.
Hare Krishna. Can you all hear me? Yes. I'm not good at a microphone, clearly. Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pachari Ninde Vishesha Shrivati Astat Vishwapaya Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakalpa Durvista Kripasindu Vedavicha Ratikanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So good to have you in the front. Thank you all so much for having me. As Joel mentioned, he super tricked me into speaking today. So I figured he asked me to speak for about 10 minutes. And so I thought I would start with prayers, not just to invoke auspiciousness and the blessings of the front row, but also because I think I killed about 2 of those 10 minutes. So Joel had asked me to speak about community. And I was reflecting a lot on the fact that this was something I was really looking for when I had first moved to New York City about 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago now. And so I came around to the Buxley Center, and I moved to the big city, from another big city, but this is like the big city. And I moved here, and I started coming around to Thursday night kirtans, and also on Sundays to the Bhagavad Shravana program. And I slowly started to meet people, and I did notice that I I started to feel like there's a group of cool kids at the Bhakti Center, and everybody kind of has their friends, and I was like, who's going to be my circle of friends? Who are the people that are going to be like the consistent people in my life that I get to serve, that I get to have real deep Sangha with? And so I started coming around more and more. And again, I was thinking about, again, where will I find that Sangha? And so I started meeting more people, and I started feeling a little bit more like I had a place. And then COVID hit, and then we were all sent home. And then I was thinking, all right, I guess Sangha is going to move online. And thankfully, I don't feel like I was lacking anything after we went online. And I was really trying to think about, well, what does community mean, really? Community, in my mind, means an unwavering service attitude. It means having a shared purpose or goal, and it means having an intentional desire to form, an intentional and actionable desire to form meaningful relationships. And so I was thinking about, for this talk, maybe I should share a Lila, maybe I can share something from Chaitanya Lila, because there's so many examples of Mahaprabhu building community, cultivating community. And then I thought, I'd rather actually share a more contemporary examples that happened here in New York City in the early days of ISKCON, but also just in the early days of ISKCON in San Francisco and England. And so I chose 4 very small excerpts from this book. It is the biography of Yamuna Devi, who was one of Srila Prabhupada's very first disciples, definitely one of his very first female disciples. And this is her biography, and she and her husband and 2 other couples, so 6 of them in total, were asked by Srila Prabhupada to help start the movement in the UK. And there are so many books written about that time period, and how special that was, and how that group of 6 devotees really had a community with each other and really began a proper movement in the UK. So I'm just going to read a few excerpts again, so 4 quick excerpts from her book. When Srila Prabhupada sent a letter to any one of us, it was shared among us all. He always added his greetings for others. We felt very close to Srila Prabhupada, that he was making us dance, pulling the strings. Sometimes we didn't dance in unison, but we had affection and love for one another. We felt protected by Srila Prabhupada from the front, from the back, and on the sides. For a year we were tested and we struggled, but collectively we had firm faith that if we simply tried to repeat what we had heard from him, we could convince others to take to Krishna consciousness. That was our great hope, and Srila Prabhupada constantly encouraged us and affirmed that hope in his letters. The letters kept us going. They motivated us when we were discouraged, and they assured us of his love and faith in us. Next excerpt. Yamuna felt that perhaps Srila Prabhupada had chosen the 6 of them for the London Yatra because they had known each other for a long time and worked well together. Once she was asked to give brief, succinct descriptions of each of the 6 of them in those days. She described Mukunda as the mimic of the group, a person who could change to fit any occasion or need instantly. He was also a good organizer. Janaki was plain-spoken and loving, not afraid to express herself. She was often sardonically humorous and naturally generous. Shyamasundar was the idealist of the group, always presenting grand plans with an ever-present chuckle, a visionary. And Malathi was wry, daring, and possessed of a piercing wit. Yamuna's husband, Guru Das, was affable, outgoing, and up for anything. She described herself with her usual humility as a stranger in a strange land, and yet somehow they all coalesced in their desire to please Srila Prabhupada and were determined and united in their efforts. Third expert. Srila Prabhupada alluded in one of his letters to some of the differences that had arisen among the London devotees, and reminded them in his gentle way to keep focused on the goal and not let anything disturb that. It would be natural to assume that within the tumult of their lives, with little money and no real housing, differences would ensue. So these letters of encouragement, along with promises of his imminent arrival there, enlivened and surcharged them. They were also enthused by the obvious impact they were having with their kirtans, as well as their new relationship with George Harrison and the Beatles, and the exposure that recording with them would bring to the Sankirtan movement. I think I skipped one. it's probably Krishna's arrangement. This is a sweet last excerpt. So this is Yamuna speaking. In England, there were just 6 of us in the beginning. What happened in 2 years was incredible. It was just impossible. We didn't know what we were doing, but we were just enthusiastic to try. That's really something. So that is what I want you to try to catch. That ray, that moonbeam of Krishna magic that allows you to do things that you never thought you could do. They are far away from your comfort zone, but just because you love your Guru Maharaj, he said to do it, and with his blessings, a lame man can walk over mountains, a dumb man can speak, and a blind man can see. That is the mercy factor, back to the big, huge mercy factor. Sometimes I felt like I was in a play where they used marionettes, and the little guy is dancing, and you flop down and jump back up, and I felt like we were on these strings, and Prabhupada was pulling the strings and making us dance. What do you all think are some of the common themes from those 4 excerpts? Just shout them out. Anybody? Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada. What else?
Enthusiasm and surrender.
Say that again?
Enthusiasm and surrender.
Enthusiasm and surrender. Anyone else?
Building community.
Building community. Thank you. So what I took was that, again, there was this deep love for Srila Prabhupada, as somebody, Doyle said, a deep desire to share bhakti with others, and a deep desire to unite as a family. And so Doyle shared with me the Bhakti Center's vision statement, and I'll read it. We exist to develop a nourished, inspired, and engaged community of devotees that people love to be around. We strive to create relevant ways for people to experience spiritual transformation and feel at home within our community by making it easy to apply the principles of Krishna consciousness in their daily lives. So when we read that, we shouldn't just be feeling, how can the Bhakti Center provide that for me? But rather, we should be feeling, how can I contribute to that vision? How can I help this vision come to life? And what if we made this our vision and our common goal? We could become the next Shama Sundar, Yamuna, Guru Das, bringing Krishna consciousness all around the world because we have a shared purpose and a love for each other, the way those 6 devotees did. So for me, when I first moved here, what made the biggest difference was joining a community group and having the privilege of co-facilitating this group with Rasika, who became like a sister to me. And that was the beginning of not only receiving from the Bhakti Center, but also having the opportunity to just try to serve and to try to give back. And that was really sort of made me feel like this was now my spiritual home. So today you'll be hearing about some of the ways that you can get involved. And what I would like for us all to do humbly, is I humbly encourage you all to really think about what is the one thing that I can do to contribute to this vision and to help make this vision a reality. I do a lot of culture transformation at work, and we always speak about how you can change not change, but you can enhance or change a culture either by having one large initiative, so somebody can put up their hand and say, you know what, Doyle and team, I want to start this initiative about, we have plenty of dreams of the initiatives that we would like to do to help care for people. Or it could be what we call a micro-behavior. Micro-behaviors are what make up a big culture. A micro-behavior is something really small. You can decide to say, you know what, every time I'm at the Bhakti Center, I'm going to introduce myself to someone new. And that's it. I'm going to have prasadam with somebody new. I'm going to make an effort to engage in the 6 loving exchanges with at least one person a week. Those 6 loving exchanges, as Srila Rupa Goswami explains in the Nectar of Instruction, are offering and accepting prasadam, offering and accepting gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, and inquiring confidentially as well. So I will just close by reading this vision one more time, and if we could all just kind of reflect on that today and have a think about what we will do to contribute to this vision and make it a reality. Because I've heard, I'm reluctant because I love New York, but I'm also like a diehard Canadian. And my husband always says, but you don't understand, New York is where it's at. Whatever people do in New York, people are going to follow. So, all right, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It turns out Prabhupada said the same thing, so I guess it's true. So if we can do that, if we can build this here in our temple, not only will the whole of ISKCON follow, but it will have a ripple effect. Because one thing I've learned from moving to New York City is that you just meet all sorts of people with all sorts of levels of influence and all sorts of fields and areas of work. So if we can just take this culture, make it a reality, and just make it so that our cup is overflowing and we just naturally share this with others, it can have a global impact, a global ripple effect. So I'll close with just rereading this vision once again. The Bhakti Center exists to develop a nourished, inspired, and engaged community of devotees that people love to be around. We strive to create relevant ways for people to experience spiritual transformation and feel at home within our community by making it easy to apply the principles of Krishna consciousness in their daily lives. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Thank you so much, Radha Bhakti Devi. I love listening to you speak. I kind of felt like we can just do that for the whole evening. I'm very, very satisfying. Something that I just wanted to read, actually, that just got inspired based on what you're saying, talking about New York City and the importance of it, and as I was standing behind the iPad and watching the numbers, people were also tuning in online, because obviously there's people. One of the things that I've referenced often that I heard His Holiness Radha Swami say at the beginning of the pandemic, when there was a lot of just upheavals in the world itself, and what to speak of in New York City, for those of us that were here in New York City when the pandemic hit, it was just like very, very vivid and visceral what was going on and how many people dispersed, etc. Some people left New York temporarily, some people left New York thinking it was temporarily and it turned into permanently, and etc. And there was this concern in terms of like what's happening with the Bhakti Center in our community, maybe it's shrinking, etc. And he said something so beautiful. He said, with so many people going so many different places, the Bhakti Center is not shrinking, it's expanding. And so for one of the things as I was thinking about when I was putting together this presentation, what we're thinking about is seeing the Bhakti Center not just as a physical place or a building in New York City, but a global community, an idea of a movement that happens to have a location here in New York City, which is very strategically placed by Prabhupada's vision, but it also includes a community of people around the world. And as I was thinking of that, I was just thinking of a message I just received this morning. A message from somebody I don't know, I've never met. They found me online through social media, and I just got this message, and I thought it's addressed to me, but I feel like it speaks to all of the offerings and the things that we have going on, and the impact that we make that we're not even aware of. As you know, a lot of our classes take place online now, and sometimes we'll have 30 people show up for a class, and 5 people will tune in live. And you wonder, are they listening to the recordings? Are people watching this? Or am I losing interest, or what's happening, etc.? And you never really know. I just got this message randomly. She said, "Dear Doyal, I really wanted to thank you for the Basics of Bhakti Lifestyle course, which was a course that I led a month or two ago. Tulsi Rani is also leading our wisdom team is developing about the 5 angas of Bhakti that teach people the basics of how to practice Bhakti, the chanting, the reading, etc. And the 18th day Bhagavad Gita course. I'm watching the recordings at my own pace from Thailand, and it's been really nourishing my heart and helping me to deepen my Bhakti practice. Now I'm preparing to go to Vrindavan for my 2nd time after not moving from Thailand for 2 years. Feeling very excited to pour all my heart in every moment. Thank you so much. Many, many gratitude in sending you and all your family lots of love and hugs." And she says her name. And I shared that with our wisdom team and some of the members of the Bhakti Center staff, and I was just, every now and then I'll get a message like that, like, "You never met me, I'm watching you guys online, I'm from the Philippines, I'm from Texas, I'm from Seattle, I'm from Thailand, and I'm from somewhere in Europe," and connecting to what we're doing at the Bhakti Center. And so I just thought that was extraordinarily important, and I wanted to just acknowledge all those tuning in online and just the impact that we don't always realize is being made outside of just what we see right here in front of us. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and move on into our presentation. So we've got Mudra going to hit the next slide. So this is just the things that we want to cover. There's some updates for me in terms of just some things that are going on in my mind that I want you to just kind of know about, and also just some things I'm going to share. I'll be brief, and then kind of the majority of what we'll be discussing is our community care. And we're going to invite Tulsi Rani to come up and give some inputs on that. Part of that will be engaging our community, which is all of you. And really, I think, Radha Bhakti, it's interesting, she didn't share with me at all what she's going to be speaking about. I just heard it for the first time, but everything you mentioned is like, we're going to go over our vision statement, and we're going to ask the question, what can we do to contribute? And we're going to tell you what we can do to contribute. And we're also going to let you know how important it is that, we have big ideas, we have big thoughts. And we also have things that just some, aren't working as well as we would like them to. And it's going to take all of us to accomplish certain things and make things better. So engaging our community, our team, we have some personnel shifts, some new people have come onto our team since the last time we had our town hall, as well as just a kind of acknowledging just the not just new team members, but just who's here at the Bhakti Center, kind of on our staff and our resident team. And then lastly, looking ahead to some key events, things that are coming up the rest of the year. Specifically, we have Bhakti coming up, and there's some festivals and events that we'll be hosting that we would like for you to know about. So, starting with me, we'll go ahead into the next slide. Updates from me. Did everyone see this okay?
Yeah, there's a question here.
Oh, I just wanted to ask, is this the second town hall since the?
Question. I'll repeat all the questions just to make sure we're here. This is the second town hall. The first one was in July, and we're planning to have them quarterly every 3 months. And as I mentioned earlier that when we were planning this one, people were saying, don't we have those every 3 months? And I said, yes, it's been 3 months. And they're like, oh, my goodness. So this is the second one we've had yet. Update. So first and foremost, the town hall survey. After our first town hall, we sent out a survey to you guys, and we just wanted to let you know briefly that every time we send a survey out to you and you fill it out, we take that very, very seriously. So please, anytime we reach out for feedback, for input, we want to let you know that we got it, we heard it, and we're doing something about it. So just a couple things that we heard is that, one, for people online, we wanted a smoother online experience. I hope that's taking place. We switched from Zoom online to streaming it live on YouTube, which is much better for audio and visual quality, so we hope that's going well. The other thing that we heard is that it was our first one, and some of you were very honest and helpful, that some of our presentations weren't quite as concise or streamlined as we would like them to be, so we got together as a team, and we were hoping that we can be a little more clear and concise in our presentations. The third thing that we wanted was more kirtan. We had more kirtan in the beginning, and we'll have some more kirtan at the end. But those are some things that we heard from you. And in general, if there's anything that you feel you have feedback, please find somebody to let me know. You can let me know, you can let Rajirani know, you can let somebody know, and we want to hear from you how we can make things better. That's what we heard from this town hall. We're trying to do better, and we'll send another survey after this one. The next point is just festival thank yous. We've had a couple festivals, and we've always had amazing festivals at the Bhakti Center. They've shifted a little bit in COVID. We've now started to host more in-person festivals. Specifically, we'd like to give a big shout out to Karun and Nimai and Ananya. They are our new festival coordinators. And just anybody who's involved in our festivals and programs. We just want to let you know it's too many to name. Tulsi Rani's been involved, Kishore Chandra's been involved, Barbara's been involved, a lot of volunteers. We have Shilpa and Karuna Garunga, longtime community members helping out with a lot of events. It just really is a team effort. We're really grateful for all of those who are participating in our festivals, making them happen, our Pujari team, etc. We just want to recognize that and just say thank you and let you know that we're aware that it takes all of us. The last thing I want to, there's two more things. One thing is things that we're working on. And so these are just a couple things I'm going to share briefly, just so you can kind of get an idea of kind of like what's on our mind here at the Bhakti Center. Where do we see things going? What's kind of big on our plates? There's a number of things that are always important. So if I don't mention something, it doesn't mean it's not important, but just to kind of a big, broad scope, one of the things that we're looking on specifically is how we're thinking about programming at the Bhakti Center. You know, it was when COVID hit, it was just kind of like, what do we do? We'll put everything in a Zoom room. And that's what we did, but we never really evolved how we think about that, how we determine what is the success of a program, where we're taking people. And one of the things we're really trying to do now that we have a difference between online platforms is really trying to think bigger in terms of how we reach people and almost kind of approaching a mindset that less is more. Even maybe less online events, but of a higher quality with a higher turnout that we can invest more energy in and have a real clear sense of direction of where we're taking people and where we're going. We've started a new RISE platform, as you're aware of, that is a mix of community and education. And we're finding that it's a little hard to navigate for some and a little overwhelming even at times. And so what we're thinking to do down the line is we're going to be separating potentially our community and educational platforms. And we want to create a large community-based platform online that everybody can take part of at free or very, very low cost, so that we can start engaging more people community-wise, get updates, chats, etc., and then have a more streamlined educational platform that really kind of tightens up how we offer programming and education at the Bhakti Center. So we're planning to have more updates on that communication, but just letting you know that we're thinking big and wanting to kind of think outside the box and more streamlined in terms of our communication. And in order to do that, one of the things that we have to do, and what we've done in general, the next one, is that we brought a leadership team together. And I wanted to share that leadership team with you. They're not all here in person, but if you go to the next one, you can read, I'll read it for you. Our leadership team is composed of 8 individuals, myself being one of them as the executive director. We also have Kishore Chandra as our program director, he's here. We'll be announcing him also as part of our new team members. Sahar Gobami as our fundraising and volunteer associate. Our temple care coordinator is Tulsi Rani Devidasi. Our head pujari and senior educator is Vasudev. Head of legal and finance is Sunanath. Our community leader and kitchen manager is Gorsharan. He's been inactive on the team because he's been in India, attending to some of the health of his family, non-COVID related health challenges of his family, and also it's been a challenge for him to get back to the States, having gone, just due to visa challenges and COVID challenges, etc. So he hasn't been active on the team, but upon his return to the U.S., he will be a member of our leadership team. And Brajarani as our executive coach and human resources HR leader. So myself, Kishore Chandra, Sahar, Tulsi Rani, Vasudev, Sunanath, Gorsharan, and Brajarani. It's our leadership team. And these are people denoted based on their positions in the organization as leaders of departments in specific areas. And something that we did just this past week is we got together and we took a little offsite in the West Village, someone's apartment, for 2 days. And we really took a big view at what is happening at the Bhakti Center and started to plan our 2022 goals. And one of the things that we did that was extraordinarily inspiring to us was that we looked at our vision. We wanted to share that with you. Right Bhakti beat us to the punch, but we thought we'd put it up here as well and read through it. And there's a couple other aspects of our vision. But before we get through that and get to that, we're going to do a quick moment where you're going to have an opportunity to engage with each other, and then we want to hear from you before we read this vision and also go through some of the values which are extension of this vision. So I want you to turn to the person next to you, just be one person, and I want you to each answer the question, what is it about the Bhakti Center that inspires you? And if you're tuning in online and you have your partner or your family or your friends or your roommate, go knock on the door, bring them out of the room, ask that question, or if you're just tuning in by yourself, you can write it down in a pen and paper, reflect, just for a brief minute. Put it in the chapter online, and answer the question, what is it about the Bhakti Center that inspires you? If you can't think of something, make it up. One person is speaking, shift to the other person. You got about just a minute or less. I hear very engaged conversations. Some of you are done, some of you are going on with enthusiasm, but you can wrap up in just the next 30 seconds. Whatever thought you're on, go ahead and finish it up. We're going to come back into the room. Last few words. A lot of inspiration flowing around here. It's good to see, good to hear. All right, let's go and close up those last few words. I'm inspired just hearing and seeing all of you guys. Goju or Brian can go ahead and check if any chats come in. We're going to read some of the chats that come in. We may not get to all of them. There's one share. You can, as they come in. Let's just hear one or two things. What is something that you heard? Maybe not what you shared, but what is something that you heard? You have something on the chat?
A comment, yeah.
A comment, let's hear it.
By Heather Moore, she says devotion.
Devotion. Short and to the point. Love it. Innovation. Okay, they don't have to be only one word, but that's also good.
The Bhakti Center is a place where people are encouraged to really know themselves and be themselves, and that's part of the reason that things are successful, because people are not just sort of fit into a box.
Yeah. The Bhakti Center is a place where people can know themselves and be themselves, not just fit into the box, and it helps communities flourish. Yeah, what's your writing over there?
What I heard was that we are both welcoming and serious about our Krishna consciousness.
You're both welcoming and serious about our Krishna consciousness. Speak for yourself.
That's what I heard.
That's what I heard. And I know who you heard that from. Someone who's very welcoming and serious about our Krishna consciousness. What's something from the back? One or two things that was heard back in the back? Yeah, no, shout it out.
It's like a place is like a big buffet where you just keep the chocolate cake here and chocolate cake there, and every chocolate cake is eating like.
Bhakti Center is like a big chocolate cake. That's what we heard in the back. It's like a buffet where there's a lot of goodies to have available. Somebody's hungry. Doesn't know Sakashi. Something else from the back. One more thing from the back. Or from the middle. Anyway, I want to hear one more thing you heard. Yeah, Krishna Sada Prabhu.
So Mona was telling that she feels always positive vibes whenever she comes to the Bhakti Center, and then Miku is telling that whenever he comes here, he's just to live, but in the holy names of the Lord, ecstatic holy names. And then Sundar sharing that devotees are quite caring, and then we feel at home. So leaving all the anxieties at the doorstep, and then we are at home.
Beautiful. So some beautiful positive vibes and feeling at home in an uplifted vibration. We can leave our anxieties at the door. Sometimes I bring my anxieties through the door. I apologize if you feel that. But you leave your anxieties at the door for most of us. But you feel at home, a place of shelter. Beautiful. Thank you guys so much. I know there was a lot more sharing. But that's beautiful. I mean, that's exactly what we're here for. And I'm going to read this vision statement again. It was part of our presentation, but then there's also some extension of it that I just wanted to share. And this was just, as we were reading this as a leadership team, we just thought like, oh my God, like where is this place? We're like, oh my God, it's here. This is what we're doing. This is why we exist. And it reminds us kind of like all the programs that we're doing, all the services that we're doing, everything, it's really meant for us to feel and experience this. And one of the things that we thought to ourselves was like, we need to be feeling this. If I'm not feeling this, and there's almost this kind of like, everybody stop what you're doing, put the broom down, stop the pot that you're cooking, like whatever, just come together and like figure out how we can get back to this essence. And if we can do this right, if you can get this right, then everything else falls into place. It says, we exist to develop a nourished, inspired, and engaged community of devotees. All of you guys. That people love to be around. We strive to create relevant ways for people to experience spiritual transformation and feel at home within our community by making it easy to apply the principles of Krishna consciousness in their daily lives. And then there's 3 core values that go along with this that we wanted to read. Like, how do we make this happen? What does it mean for all of these things to gel? We heard that we're welcoming. We heard that we are serious. We heard that we can be ourselves. We heard that it's uplifting. There's innovation. There was a beautiful question that somebody asked Srila Prabhupada one time when he was talking about things that he did that were outside the norm of the Gaudiya Math, where he came from. And Srila Prabhupada was talking about how a particular adjustment that he made, and the disciple asked him, Srila Prabhupada, what's the difference, or how do you know the difference between making an adjustment and breaking a principle? You know what he said, right, Bhakti? Is that? He said
It takes a little intelligence.
that requires a little intelligence. So this balance of like being innovative and reaching out at the same time being very, very connected to our roots. So the first one is firmly rooted. I'm going to read it after, just in case you can't read it. Firmly rooted. There's three of these, and they kind of follow this tree analogy. And I'm going to share these values, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tulsi Rani, who's going to talk about community care next. We remain loyal to and practice the principles of the Bhakti tradition of Sri Chaitanya as taught and exemplified by Srila Prabhupada. So firmly rooted. The next one is that we're branching out. We see every soul as important in Krishna service and reach out in relevant and easily accessible ways with non-judgmental compassion and thoughtfulness, creating a culture of inclusion. This is an important one I'm going to talk for just 20 seconds on, because we build relational bridges with people. We don't have to agree with everybody. We don't have to feel that having a conversation with somebody means that we share all of their values, but that everybody has a place in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement, and we want them to know that and feel that they have a place here with us at the Bhakti Center, physically at the building or online, wherever you may be. And that's really, 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 really important to us to remember and keep in mind as we live, for those of us in New York, a city of 8 million people, 13 million in the NYC metro area, and what is it now, 8, 9 billion? I'm always losing track of my people in the globe. 7 billion, it was 6 billion like a couple of years ago. Billions of people and unlimited living entities out there in the universe, that none of them are meant to be left behind in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's movement. And the last one is bound together. We serve cooperatively in a mood of shared love, trust, honesty, and care for each other, understanding this to be our foundational and most fundamental offering. So on that point, we're going to now transition to some community care updates from our very own temple coordinator, Tulsi Rani. Let's welcome her out to the microphone. And before we start, we're going to have another quick breakout question. You can stand right there. I stood out here during the minutes of the breakout for the people online. But we're going to have another quick breakout question. And the question is, we're going to have 3 of these breakout questions, so this is number 2, and one more at the end. This question is, who is somebody that you've been inspired by at the Bhakti Center or with the Bhakti Center? Take a moment, turn to the person next to you, answer the question, and then we'll go ahead and we will share some things when we get back. Who is somebody that you felt inspired by or cared for? That's just the question. Who is somebody that you felt cared for at the Bhakti Center? Ready, set, go.
Just one person?
Just one person. If there's more than one, beautiful.
Who's somebody you felt cared for
By
that person?
in our community. Yeah. Beautiful. And if you want more juice for the conversation, you can share what did it feel like to be cared for by that person.
All these Western things and things everyone can learn how to make. I really like to do it flower, but
I'm just listening. What? Every single person in this room, like, what do you want me to say?
So she's not here in the community now. There's some people, but
definitely but so many people have opened my chakra and it highlights I didn't really change the person of Bhakti in that she inspired me so much. I'm very excited. Yeah. So every individual she talks to.
We're just going to take another 30 seconds to a minute.
So many people are impacted. There's
A lot of inspiration is there floating around.
we talk like I'm Buxley, and they're like,
Whoever's speaking, finish up your sentence or your thoughts. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up. We'll come back into the rooms. I know some of you have already finished, some of you didn't get a chance to finish. Some of you in groups of 2, some of you in groups of 4. Place for everybody to share, as we mentioned. Let's go ahead and come back into the space. And as soon as I see everybody, we will start to this time you can, because it's something personal, you can go ahead and share on your own. What are some names that came up? Either one you heard or just your own name that you shared? And go to your front sheet. If there's anybody on the chats, let's hear from them as well. You can signal me. But I just want to hear some people that we heard. My name was mentioned. Hare Krishna. Gorsharan. Gorsharan and Vasudev. What is it about Gorsharan and Vasudev?
Well, I said Gorsharan.
Wait, you didn't ask that about yourself.
What is it about Gorsharan and Vasudev?
I said Gorsharan, what is not amazing? He's so humble. He's always thinking of how to try to serve the devotees, serve Radharani or Kishore Chandra. But I was particularly remembering his patience and tolerance when he was here with the residents who were sometimes picky about what they want to have for lunch, for Shadam, and he was trying to learn how to make so many things just to satisfy everyone, which is, just one of his many responsibilities. So,
Yeah. We love you, Gorsharan. Love you. Is there any chats on the comment room?
Yeah, again by Heather. She says Krishna Kumari made me feel unconditional love. And she also mentions a name. It says Gul Kumar. I'm not sure.
Gaur Kumar.
It says G-U-L. Probably she means Gaur Kumar. Made me feel protected and well understood.
Jai, Gaur Kumar and Krishna Kumari. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Any names otherwise? Let's get 1 or 2. Yeah or not?
Yeah, this I thought was particularly lovely, actually. It wasn't a name, but it was the pujaris collectively.
Mm.
And the reason, for many of us, maybe we take for granted, but the way they include us in the arti, so just turning around and offering the lamp, turning around and fanning. These things that many of us may just think by rote, it's just part of the machine, but no, it actually touched them and made it feel included.
Yeah. Watering that root of the tree, and I could, as somebody who's spent time living in a temple and somebody who's been a pujari for a short period of time in my devotional life, that it takes a lot of energy and it can be extraordinarily materially or externally thankless. It's the greatest reward internally, but we don't realize how much we benefit by the care of Radha Mulidhar and how much that is nourishing and inspiring, because they also live in our hearts. And so huge shout out to our Pujari team. Thank you. And particularly I heard earlier this portion also Vasudev, who's our head Pujari, who even particularly now is taking on, I think this week he's got like 60 hours of stuff that he's doing because one of our Pujaris is out of town, just stepping in year after year after year. So thank you for mentioning him. One other name or person that's floating around? Arjun Prabhu. Hari Bol. Let's give a round of applause for Arjun Prabhu. Say something about Arjun Prabhu.
I happened to stay here 7 weeks. Every day he comes at 4:30 a.m. in the morning, not even simply taking patients. Every day he does Tulsi Arati, Tulsi Puja, and then every day he's at Prabhupada, Puja, he performs Arati. Consistency is something which is different. And then he's so caring, he knows each and every inch of Bhakti Center, who is there in Bhakti Center, how many devotees are sleeping in the night in Bhakti Center. He's so caring.
He does a lot more than sometimes you feel comfortable with.
He
Yeah.
has his heart.
Yeah, thank you. For those who weren't able to hear online talking about Arjun Prabhu, his consistency, he lives here at the Bhakti Center for the benefit of us, very simply and humbly, in our ashram quarters. And he attends our morning program daily, he performs Arti for Srila Prabhupada daily, and he is a friend and caretaker for many of the residents and members of our community, and so we're extraordinarily glad and grateful that he's here. And these are just a few people that we mentioned. I mean, I saw all of you guys engaging in conversation, and just letting you know, even the message I read earlier from this person from Thailand, that we don't always know the impact that we're having on people. And this sense of care, it happens personally with each of us. And so I just wanted to kind of get us engaged in that conversation. And now, I spoke enough. I want to turn it over to Tulsi Rani. Again, please give a round of applause.
So wonderful to be with all of you today. So we're going to first start off by kind of reviewing what we heard back from you guys since the last town hall. We did a community care survey to find out the ways in which you would like us to be caring for you more. And then I'm going to share a few of the many, many ways that we're planning on implementing that. So, okay. First I can introduce my community care team. Right now it's a small team, and we're looking to grow organically as we bring more people in to fill in the different needs of our community. Right now it's just me and Bhakti Devi, who's in charge of our mentorship program, and Rasika Gopi Devi, who's in charge of our community groups and upcoming support groups. So yeah, our survey feedback is mostly what we heard from you is not that surprising. It's, hey, we want more Sangha. We want more opportunities for deep loving relationships and friendships amongst the devotees. We want more Katha, like really immersive Krishna conscious experiences for those of us that have been practicing Krishna consciousness, and that not just for new people, but for our temple devotees. And we want kirtan. We want more one-on-one support. We want to know, does somebody care about, is there someone I can talk to about what I'm going through, my personal spiritual struggles? So we heard a lot of these things. We want more programming in person because we've been doing a lot online and it's been really successful. And of course, because of COVID, our in-person programs are kind of like, but we're looking to try to to revive those as well. So the ways in which we're trying to, our vision of meeting the needs of the community is really our core offerings, strengthening our core offerings, which is like our long-term vision is if everyone in our community had personal support in terms of a mentor, if they wanted one. Of course, none of this is going to be forced on anyone. You don't have to come to any programs. You don't have to go to community groups or have a mentor. But a lot of you mentioned in the feedback that you want those things. So we're trying to make them more readily available to everyone. So if everyone could have a mentor and feel that personal support, if everyone was in a community group where that they met with weekly or bi-weekly to develop these deep spiritual relationships where based on studying the Shastra, that we have deep discussions about what our inspirations are and also what our struggles are, where we can share that with one another and form these relationships. And then we want to really create this space in the Bhakti Center, bringing this space alive again with programs. I'll talk a little bit about what programs we have coming up in a second. So with programming and Sangha and mentorship, and also a new offering that we're wanting to present in 2022 is support groups. Because something we also heard a lot in the survey is that you guys are wanting Yeah, that's great. I'm so glad that it's on the book. Thanks. Okay. So, one of the things that we're also wanting to present in addition to community groups is that support groups. A lot of us are having mental health issues, right? Maybe not, I mean, some of us are, some of us aren't. But we've got a lot of feedback, and I appreciate the honest feedback from our community of people saying, hey, I wish the Bhakti Center could offer more mental health support. So we're not, in many different ways, because we're not just here to tell you, what the Srimad Bhagavatam says about how to deal with a specific situation, but based on the teachings, the examples of our acharyas, and like, how do we actually put these principles of Krishna consciousness in our lives and get the support that we need to get to that highest platform of pure and alloy devotion. So, I want to, what's going on? Do I need to make sure I'm keeping up with this, or can I just?
It has all of them. If you go 2 more, it has all of them on there, so you talk to it the way you want to. One
Yeah,
more.
just keep it up there. Sorry if I'm not following the screen perfectly.
It's all there. Don't you just do you.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about each of these things, each of these areas in which we want to try to care for the community. And we have much bigger ideas too, in terms of ways that we can make sure everyone has nice prasadam, and ways in which we can do all these little things. But really want to start with this core of sangha, of programs, of mentorship, and support groups. So in terms of programming, our Thursday night kirtan is going strong. I'm so happy that is brought back. We want to bring more energy into other programs as well, because you guys are asking for other programs as well. And our soul talks has been going strong for new people. But right now I want to talk about what we want to offer to our temple community. We just started with Jai Jagannath, a Monday night Chaitanya Charitamrita class in person. Thank you. I sincerely thank him for doing that, because there's an ask from you guys and from our people online and from those people that aren't even attending this. We're like, we want in-person Krishna Katha, right? So we're starting it, so you gotta show up if you want it. So that's Monday nights. We're also we're working very diligently to try to get Bhagavat Shravanam started up again, because that's also was one of our really powerful programs. We want to start a monthly bhajan night, not just where we sing bhajans, but where we intimately discuss what is the meaning of this bhajan, what does it mean to you? Not just one person sitting on a vyasasana giving a class, but us discussing together, and singing some bhajans together. Once a month, we're going to do that. We also, I feel like there was a oh yeah, Sunday school, along with Bhagavad Shravanam, there's a lot of parents that are asking, hey, how can our kids get involved and do something? So that's something else that we're wanting to start up as a Sunday school. And then the second one is Sangha through groups. People want to connect. We want to be able to open our hearts to one another, not just see each other every once in a while at a festival and be like, Haribol, Prabhu. We want to actually have deep, loving relationships with one another, with peers, and with seniors that can guide us. So we have our community groups that many of you are available, that are aware of. And although we haven't had that many deepening bhakti groups available, we're working to have more deepening bhakti groups available for people that have been practicing Krishna consciousness for some time. We have 2 new deepening bhakti groups starting in January, and perhaps more than that. We'll see what happens. Brajalila Devi. Brajalila Devi is going to be starting a women's group, a deepening bhakti women's group. My husband and I are going to be starting a deepening bhakti group. And then for those of you that are maybe newer to Krishna consciousness, but have decided I really want to practice Krishna consciousness. We have our growing Bhakti community groups, and those are offered, we decided to increase those because so many people are interested now that we want to give them these next steps. And we're having a lot of growing Bhakti groups that are going to be offered now every 2 months. And then the other thing that I mentioned that's new is the idea of these support groups. So starting in January, we're going to have an addiction recovery support group, and there's also going to be a family life support group. We have a lot of other ideas of areas of support groups, you know, anxiety and depression support groups, LGBTQ plus support groups, you know, how to transition ashram support groups. This is just like long-term vision ideas, but we have this desire to offer this to the community, but we really need everyone's help because, hey, I can't start all these support groups. I'm supposed to be in charge of community care, but I don't have time to check in with each one of you because I'm not Krishna. He can just sit and eat lunch, and surrounded by all of his Catholic boyfriends, they feel perfectly, wonderfully reciprocated with just looking at Krishna. But, you know, I'm not Krishna. So we need the whole community to come together to help to care for one another. We need help with, if anyone's inclined to, you know, run some of these community groups, lead some of these community groups. We need people that are actually, that are deep in their bhakti and at the same time have some material qualifications to run our support groups. And then in terms of mentorship, we also are looking to expand our mentorship team. We have a plan of, by January, also having more mentors available because that's another thing is we all want that one-on-one connection. We want to know, is someone personally invested in our spiritual growth? And so we have the mentorship system's been going strong now for a year. It's doing incredible. It's doing so incredible that we have a wait list for mentors. But we're working diligently to bring more mentors into the team to provide everyone that wants a mentor with one. And then the last thing of what you guys said that you wanted and what we also want for you is this desire to be engaged in seva. Because I think Radha Bhakti mentioned this when she was speaking a lot, is this understanding of feeling at home at the Bhakti Center when she felt some sense of community and specifically seva. Like I have a service as a part of the Bhakti Center. And when you feel like you have a place you can serve, then the identity of it being your spiritual home grows so deep. And we have so many opportunities of seva for all of you. So, like I mentioned, some of the things we're looking for people to run community groups. We're looking for someone to just oversee organization of the deepening Bhakti groups. We're looking for someone that's going to oversee the organization of our support groups. I'm looking for someone that's going to help create a database of all of the devotees in our community, so we know who in our community who's got a mentor, who's in a community group, what programs are they attending, what do they want from our community, so that we are connected with each one of you and understanding more deeply the needs of our community and how we can meet those. So we are also looking for, I have like a long list here. I'm not going to read it all out and bore you, but we have a list of like 15 different opportunities for volunteer positions that we would love people to step in. Because there's so much that we would love to see happen to make this vision that we've been discussing about the Bhakti Center come to life in terms of supporting one another. But we really, it takes the whole tribe to do it. So if anyone is interested and wants to know how they can get involved, whether it's through some kind of tech support or leading some groups or helping with our communications, whatever it is, please come, I can't stay, I have to run after this, but please come and see Brajrani, and she will connect you with me or whoever is the different person in head of the different area that we have. So, I'm really grateful to hear from all of you today about the different ways in which the Bhakti Center community has inspired you. And now it is up to us to continue to inspire each other and to bring this inspiration and flood the world with it. So thank you so much for
Thank you so much, Coach Rani. So the last part we're going to do here is going to be, we're going to have Rani share some of, just a little bit about our tea and her. But before we get into that, promised you, we had a third question that you guys are going to interact with, and then we're going to have some space for some open Q&A. If there's anything you guys have questions about that we shared or haven't heard yet that you think you'd like to mention. So, third question that we have, turn to the person next to you, behind you, in front of you, anywhere around you, is, we talked a lot about vision, we talked about some updates, we talked about this idea of like development, thinking bigger, the need to come together to make a vision come alive. What is something that you would love to see at the Bhakti Center, or with the Bhakti Center, by the Bhakti Center? Like, what is something that you would just love to see? If we were dreaming, if we were thinking big, if we didn't have to think, well, we don't have the resources for that, we don't have the people for that, I don't know how to do that. If you were to really think about what does the Bhakti Center look like to me in my wildest dreams, what is something that comes to mind in your head or your heart? Share that with the person next to you, person with you online, or write it down. Heather, I'm looking at you. We'll get back to you in just a minute.
Does anyone have some
I would love to see, first I was thinking like a cafe, this is amazing, but it's not like a fast food, more like a cafe style. Because it's already there, maybe something that was like a mobile, a food truck, like center, or something building, and there's also always thinking that some sort of wellness center within the building. Could also be something that doesn't necessarily like not necessarily massage, but like sound healing, other types of therapies that really just beyond just the yoga studio. I would associate that all of that time that soul healing with this space.
So yeah, all the guys out
So anyway, it would be incredible to see what the Bhakti Center provide training programs for other smaller communities, like online, for leadership. So like there's community care, but also like a leadership for other small communities.
Okay, we can go ahead and wrap up whatever last moment thought we are thinking. I went back there and had this discussion with somebody back there. I was very inspired. Go ahead and just wrap it up, come back into the room, come back in your bathroom breaks if you're online. What are some things that you heard, that you shared or that you heard? Let's hear a few things in the room. If there's anything on the chat board, you can feel free to read it out. If not, there's a conversation going on over here, and I want to hear it.
Well, I have a lot of things in my head, but one of them is that the Bhakti Center is everyone in New York City is coming across us in some way. Whether you're in the Bronx, whether you're in the deepest Brooklyn, whether you're in Queens, etc., that we are touching souls everywhere. I don't know if we have satellite offices here, there, or whatever. I don't know what that looks like, but I want all 8 million people to be coming across us regularly somehow.
I think every day, in the Bhakti Center, you just look outside our window, you step outside and it's like, how are these people know we exist and what do we have to offer them? And so the idea that everybody can connect with us in some way, I love it, I love it. Something out there, yeah, no.
No, I just wanted to comment just for Rani's edification. Just a brief anecdote. A few months ago, I was walking in, yes, it was Manhattan, and yes, it was the West Village, but I had a Thursday night kirtan shirt on, and I was passing somebody on the sidewalk, and she said, "Oh, you go to the Bhakti Center? That place is great." And we just kept, I said something, and we kept going.
And 20 years later, they're still married.
We were at Think today, and I went inside Think, and she asked me, well, I had a little
Gym.
bag. No,
Think.
Think.
Think. Oh, Think coffee.
I got something that was anyway, I had a little bag that said Radha on it. So the clerk asked, she said, what does that say? And I said Radha, but I had the mask on, so she didn't hear it clearly. So she said, who is that? And so I described it. Oh, she said, you mean Radha, Krishna's consort? I told her, yeah, Bhakti Center's good.
It is happening right now. It's happening. What are some other things that we heard?
I want to say one thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna get that out the bike because I just might be close enough to do it.
My vision, it's not a vision, it's really scaled down, but a sudden reform group, because Johnny and I had this conversation yesterday, and I had the conversation at lunch with Kishore Gopal, and a lot of us are givers, and we're giving a lot, but there is a sense that our wells can be running dry or can tend to run dry, and there are many factors that contribute to that, but a major factor for Bhakti practitioners is our sadhana. And I can't imagine living in a city that everyone's able to say they're showing up 100% to their sadhana. And I think for a lot of us, it could be like hard, like especially COVID time and so on. So I thought that would be like something that would be nice to have in the community, like a sadhana reform. I don't know, a group or get together once a month. There's like, how's it going? Are you able to finish your rounds? Like, let's have like a real conversation about that. And Johnny and I, a lot of us, because we took the vow of chanting 16 rounds, so sadhana for us just means 16 rounds. And I was asking, well, what about hearing? Like, what about like honoring prasadam? Because we live in the city, going to a lot of vegan restaurants. And where does taking prasadam come in and hearing bhakti? Where does that come in? Just like actual sadhu sangha, where you get together to actually talk about Krishna and not go see a movie together or something like that. And like all those factors together. So I think that would be something that would be really worth investing, especially as givers. So
Give it up for that. As you mentioned, that was brought to mind something also that I heard His Holiness Ronas when we say a long time ago in a recorded class that I heard, that there is nothing more powerful than sharing bhakti and Krishna consciousness than an inspired devotee. And so the idea of us actually, our most fundamental offering is our own inspiration. And so that's beautiful. I love it. And our depth and our groundedness. Is there one more thing? Yeah, Jonathan.
Bhakti Center Prasadam trucks.
Yes.
Bhakti Center Prasadam trucks. That was one of the things that came up in one of our care meetings, not the trucks, specifically, Radha Bhakti brought up tiffin programs for our community. It turned out that she just wants prasadam brought to her, and she thought, how can we do this for everybody? But prasadam trucks. Yes. Love that. One more thing, and then something else, just dreamers. We got any?
None so far.
No dreamers online. Anybody else? Something else. Radha Bhakti.
Childcare support or like cleaning services for those who are looking for service and people who need that service.
It's like home services that people can actually have child care for somebody who doesn't even have their own child. This one, she's thinking of other people. Beautiful. This is what we want to be doing regularly as a community. We want to be dreaming. One of the things that I regularly meditate on, this was true this has been true for a couple years, even when Vera Budger was still our executive director. Like, we've gotten to the place where just running the day-to-day operations of the Bhakti Center, we've kind of got a handle on it. There's things we can always do better, things can be a little cleaner, communications can run better, et cetera, but running to day-to-day operations, like the building's not falling apart, and we've got things going on, but what are we doing that's really making ourselves think big in terms of fulfilling Prabhupada's mission and dreaming together? And it really does take all of us together. One of the things that also, I don't know if folks are running remember to mention, but we do have on our website, there is a volunteer menu bar at the top. It has a list of ways that people can get involved. We're going to be updating that, making that a little bit easier to navigate, but it is all there, and there are ways that you can kind of get involved and to navigate that. And if there's something that you think of that's not on there, a way to get involved, let us know also, because this is your home. And so the last few minutes we're going to have here is Brajarani is going to share some team members and some upcoming events, and then we will break and we'll have Prasad together. We'll have Kirtan and then Prasad together.
Okay, but before I start on the people, I just want to thank Tulsi Rani for this vision of care, that which is that that we've got seva, that we have sangha through groups, that we have one-on-one mentors or relationships one-on-one, and that we have great programming. Like, that is our vision for care at the Bhakti Center. So you walk away with nothing else, we have this new vision that we were talking about for care. So, last time I was here, we talked about the new team members, and there were a lot of new team members at that time. And so we're going to talk today about the new team members, but one of the questions that also came up is because with COVID and other things, people were coming and going. It's like, okay, I understand the new people, but who are the old people who are still here too? So we're going to have to talk a little bit about that as well. So the three newest team members, Kishore Chandra is the reincarnation of Kishore Chandra in the role of we have Krishna Gaur, who is our reception manager, and I think she's here usually, sometimes Thursday night kirtan on the weekends, because she's also full-time in school.
Doing it in a volunteer capacity.
But yes, actually, many of our team members you can't tell who's saving who's paid, so that's where we've got people doing both, so, which is a beautiful thing. We have Sri Rupa Charan, who stepped into facilities management, so he's doing both Pujari and facilities manager, trying to make sure the place is clean.
Something about Silas and how we transitioned out, because he was our facilities manager.
Yes, our first facilities manager was Silas, who was beautiful and wonderful in the job, but it wasn't quite what he needed at this particular point in his life, but it was a perfect job for him, but it wasn't a perfect time in his life, and those two things have to come together. So he could see that. He's going full-time in school right now. He could see that, and so we segued out. So, but is hopefully still with us as a part of the community. So those are our new team members. Our other team members, and these are the people who have been with us for years, mostly, is we've still have Amrit Krishna and Bhima Pran still holding it down for the kitchen for us. We have Rasika Gopi and Radha Bhakti, who lead community groups and mentoring program, respectively. We have our festival coordinators, which are Karunani Mai and Ananya, and I think they're recently festival coordinators, and they're really sort of taking the lead on our festivals, which is really great. And we have a digital team that is a virtual and international team. We've got some people, I think someone's in Switzerland, someone's in the UK, some are here. One's right here in the room, which is Gojam Pran, Nisha, Vindhya, Anna, and Tanvi. So thank you, everybody.
What does the digital team do?
What does the digital team do?
They are going to be, they're very new. They are helping us with just basically our Google Ads, search engine optimization, data analysis in terms of like how we are understanding like our customer journeys and how we're reaching out to people and engaging in marketing, et cetera. And so are those helping to manage those digital platforms and effectively to communicate with people. So very, very, very fresh and very new. All volunteers and helping us out. So that's what they're doing.
Okay, and then we have, because one of the things we're really trying to do is really think of ourselves as just as one full team. There's a team that does probably 20 hours or more of SAVA in one form or another, which are the kind of names that are coming up here. There's everyone else who's also doing SAVA in one form or another. These are our resident team members who are all doing at least 25 hours a week or so of SAVA for it with us, which includes our dear, sweet, brilliant, really bright Emily, and Ekachakra Pran, who is one of the more recent members, who is also brilliantly bright, as in like luminous. So thank you, and amazing at books. Like this, the books just fly. I don't even know what happens with him. We have Suzanne Vader, who's moving into the temple this week.
From New Mexico.
And from New Mexico, and Belle, who is a member of our community, who is also going to move in the next couple of weeks. So this is our team, in addition to the other people that we've mentioned in the past. But we're all one team. Residents, staff, which are residents, and every one of you here in the room. So all one team. Upcoming events. Kartik is beginning next week. Yeah, it begins on Wednesday, and we're gonna kick it off with the Kishore Chandra installation anniversary program here. This is what really clicked me in with the Bhakti Center, was this particular installation. So I am so grateful. And it's the first day of Kartik. We're gonna have something for Radhakund Appearance Day on the 28th. So this is a heavy festival season coming up. We're talking about doing something for Diwali, Govardhan Puja, and Prabhupada's Appearance Day 11/7. This is basically the course of 2 weeks. We've got like 6 or 7 things going on. So take a picture, mark your calendar. Keep track of the emails. If you're not receiving Temple at the Bhakti Center emails that will let you know when these things are going, let me know. Make sure you can get that as well. And I'm done talking.
The last thing that we want to do before we finish up with some kirtan and have some prasad is, just wanted to open up for Q&A. Anybody online, if you want to put in the chat, or anybody in this room, just has a question about anything we've shared, or just anything that we haven't shared. Something like, why are we talking about this? Or how is this working or not working? Just any open form of questions that you guys would like to ask. I'd like to open the floor in the last few minutes that we have. Don't be shy, don't think, I don't want to say it because we're almost done. Yeah, you have another rule.
Does Bhakti Center have any COVID protocol?
Does Bhakti Center have any coded protocol? Very good question. So briefly, I will just share where we are with that. And I'll share you the context of where we are with that. When COVID first hit about a year and a half ago, we shut down completely. We stayed closed for about a year. We've been doing our best to follow very strictly all the recommendations and guidelines that have been coming about. We started opening up 1 year to the date after COVID first hit with Thursday Night Kirtan. It was our first regular in-person program, and we started very trepidatiously. Trepidatiously? Did I get that? Yeah, Douglas like, not quite.
I make up words all the time.
We've actually, my approach at all has always been to go slow. I actually stayed closed longer than other places where it's kind of like, we want things open. So we opened and it was masks required, limited capacity for 1 hour of kirtan. We increased that to 2 hours a week, and we maintained a mask requirement policy throughout that period of time. And then somewhere around July, I think it was, or midsummer, about a month or 2 months ago, in New York City, because every place is different. Interestingly enough, you can't get into a restaurant without a vaccination card in New York City. 2 miles away, I was in New Jersey from here with my wife, and we walked into a vegan restaurant. Maybe we should have had prasadam, Hare Krishna. And the staff didn't even have masks on. You know, it's just where you are in the world makes a difference. And so, but here in New York City, there was a lifting of all restrictions, and it was kind of like from the city, the quote was back to normal, so to speak. So then we followed that suit, and we lifted a mask policy, and we've had a mask optional situation since that time. Shortly after that, I don't believe that lasted long in the city, and there's been some haziness, so to speak. If you want to know the actual CDC guidelines, and I'll say it at the risk of being on the record, for programs such as this with singing, we should technically all be sitting 12 feet apart with masks on. That would include Thursday Night Kirtan, that would include all of our festivals. So on Wednesday night, we should all be sitting 12 feet apart with masks on, which would be highly impractical, so to speak. And so ever since that time when the city lifted all restrictions in the summer, we've been a little bit up in the air. Not up in the air, so to speak, we've had a mask optional policy, although not required. But what we've done is that we've brought a few people together that we feel may help suggest policies for the Bhakti Center. One of our community members, Braj Bhumi Prabhu, who lives in Houston, but he's also a doctor and a community member, as well as some other members to kind of suggest COVID protocols for the Bhakti Center in an ever-changing, fluctuating protocol, so to speak. So that's kind of where we've been, and I share that context only because I want people to know that throughout the last year and a half, we've done our best to take it very, very, very seriously. It's kind of hard to go back once the city says, everything's woo, you can do whatever you want. And, not that we're saying that that's what we're doing, but that's kind of where things hit somewhere in the summer, and now we're in a place where we are encouraging, or it's an optional mask policy, although based on the suggestions of our COVID team that we've created just this past week, we will be making suggestions if that needs to change in any way, shape, or form. So that's kind of where we're at right now. Any further question on that, or I know I answered long-windedly, but I just wanted to give a whole context. I know it's a big issue.
And the yoga studio is different.
Oh yeah, and the yoga studio, for our yoga studio, for in-person classes, we have a vaccination requirement as per the New York City mandate. So for all of our in-person yoga classes, our teachers and students are required to wear masks. So we've adjusted our yoga schedule. Some classes were canceled, some teachers shifted. But for our yoga studio, it's required to be vaccinated, which is true for all fitness centers and yoga studios in New York City. Any other questions? All right, now that we got COVID in the room, we're all feeling juicy and ready to go into some kirtan. Okay. All right, not hearing any questions. So we will go ahead and invite her grace, Janadi Jeevan Devi, to come and sing kirtan for us. We're going to have kirtan for about 15-20 minutes, and then we have prasadam in the back. Super, super, super grateful for all of you guys being here. Again, this is our community. This is your community. One more. Yeah, that's going to hand it.
I'm just curious if you checked for YouTube questions.
I think we had.
Yes, I am. And then I don't see any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for looking out for everybody. Thank you again all so much. We're going to invite Janadi up for kirtan. We'll have kirtan, and then we will close with prasadam. Oh, Janadi has a question.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm curious whether there's been more development on the vision for residents, because I know at different times there were different ideas about why people will come stay here for how long, that kind of thing.
Great question. She's asking about residents or the ashram specifically, and Tulsirani almost jumped out of her cushion out over there because she's so excited about it. You want to share that? Sure. We need to be a little concise because we're near the end, but you can go ahead and share.
Yeah, so we've been putting a lot of thought and energy into trying into that vision. Right now, I'm looking for someone that's going to be an ashram leader to just like take the ashram as their baby.
For men and women.
For men and women, I'm looking for either one person or ideally a man and a woman to take care and actually run a training program. So our current, the vision that we're trying to create going forward is that the people living in the building are here because they want seva, because they want sangha, and because they want sadhana. So in the future, people that move into the building are going to be people that want those things and that are expected to be a part of those things. So there will be people living in the building that are full-time pujaris and cooks and stuff. And we're also, and of course we have our resident senior devotees who looks like Arjuna already dipped out, but Arjuna Prabhu, of course, and then we want to start a training program. But for that to really take off, we need someone, at least one or two people that are running that program and really taking care of and nourishing the ashram devotees, especially the new people. So right now, Emily actually is unofficially taking the role of the big sister of the women's ashram for the new girls that are moving in. But long term, we are looking for someone. So if anyone has any ideas or suggestions of people that they know of that might be interested in really putting their heart into creating more of a community and a sense of like all the devotees under this roof are like, they're just serving their hearts out and they're going really deep together in their sadhana. And that they have deep loving relationships. So that's really the vision. I can talk to you more about it later if you want, because I have many, many ideas, but I'm keeping this concise. Okay.
Does that answer your question about
Yes, yes.
Beautiful, thank you. Okay. Thank you all so much. If there's a question that you didn't ask or didn't feel comfortable asking in person or it comes up to you later, please write me a message, write any of our leadership team a message. We'd love to hear from you guys. We're going to go ahead and let's give a round of applause for all of you and welcome back.
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaurabhakta Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Kevalam Kaluna Seva Kishore Chandra ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Bhakti Vrinda ki.
Thank you so much, and thank all of you as well. We will now serve for Shadam in the back. One last closing announcement that our dear Nanya asked me to make is that Kartik starting this upcoming Wednesday. If anybody would like to sing, we're going to have Dharma every evening in the temple room at 8:30. 8:30 p.m. So you're welcome to come and join, light a candle, make your Kartik offering each evening. Somebody would like to sing Dharma and lead kirtan. We'd like to invite our community to come and sing. Please come and see her right now. Right after I'm done. And let her know that we'd like to come and sing Dharma. And if anybody would like to help us serve prasad, that would make the prasad serve out possible. So thank you guys all so much. And last thing, we're going to have to close this dividing door because we don't eat in front of the babies. Hare Krishna.